Welcome to Insights into a Soul, the podcast that no one asked for. This is a podcast about life, love, and everything in between. So grab a cup of coffee and relax, and join me as we gain insights into a soul. Welcome to Insights into a Soul, episode 1. It's a new endeavor, new adventure, new chapter in my life. So if you've heard the podcast trailer, you kind of know my reason for starting this, and it's been something that's been on my heart for a while. You know, I've podcasted for a long time. Over the past several years, I've had multiple podcasts with different friends. Everything from video games to Magic the Gathering to all sorts of stuff. And it's always fun podcasting with people. But it's always difficult because you have schedules and life and all this stuff in between. So I thought it was time to do a podcast myself, focused on me. With that, as I said in the podcast trailer, we're going to bring people in. We're going to have guests in from time to time. Already got a great list of guests that are going to be coming on the show to talk. We're going to be covering everything from, film to art to music to business, to relationships. We're going to talk about the ups and the downs of life. And really, that's what it is. It's talking about life because, hey, everybody's got a story to tell, and we want to tell those stories. Not every story is a fairy tale. This is reality, and we face a lot of tough times, a lot of heartache, a lot of challenges, but also we face... I don't want to say face. We also experience a lot of great opportunities, a lot of joy, a lot of love. And sometimes it's difficult to see that, but, sometimes you just need a friend or someone from outside to look at your life and to see it for you and be like, hey, it's not that bad. I understand you're going through something tough, but it's going to be okay. And I think one of my favorite memes right now is this meme going around. It says, 2019, actually it says 2020 be like, did you die though? And I think that's true for so many of us right now. The struggles, whether they're big or small, they're still a challenge and a struggle to us, to the individuals who experience them. So that's what this is. Insights into a Soul is my personal journal, my journey, my way to connect with the world, to get out what's inside, whether it's good or bad. Because I think if we continue to pretend like there's no bad, then we're not doing ourselves any favors. So yeah, quick intro into Insights into a Soul. That's what we are going to be doing on this podcast. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. The response so far has been amazing. On social media, I threw it out there. I'm not doing this for anybody specific. I'm doing this for me. And the positivity and the support has been overwhelming and amazing. So many people just saying how they're excited to hear this. They think it's a great idea, and just like they're excited for me. So thank you to everyone who's sent an encouraging word, who sent me a message about wanting to be on the podcast. We'll get you on the podcast. We'll get it scheduled out. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's just jump into a quick little backstory to kind of set the tone for what was the catalyst in creating this podcast, in doing this. Several months ago, my wife of 13 years came to me on a Sunday and said, hey, I'm not happy anymore. I haven't been for a long time, and I don't think I've been honest with myself. And she tried to make it work. We did all sorts of different things, and I personally thought things were getting better and they were doing well. From the outside, it looked great. Things were wonderful. But at the end of the day, she just wasn't happy anymore, and that's okay. That was her decision, not a reflection on me or her. So we talked about it, and we had talked about this a little bit for several months before, kind of on and off, like what does the future look like? And so I think we both knew it was coming, and we both mutually agreed that, yeah, this is the best decision for us to go our separate ways, that maybe we'd make better friends than spouses. We have 2 kids, 2 daughters, 8 and 14. And that was the biggest challenge for me was, well, how are they going to take it? What are we going to do about them? So she told me this on a Sunday, and I was like, okay, you know, it wasn't like, okay, cool. It was, you know, pretty emotional. And then ask, all right, well, what does the timeline look like? I mean, I was thinking like a couple weeks or months or something. And she's like, moving this week. Wow. Okay. That hit me. So Sunday, she told me that this was her plan and her decision. And Monday, she told me that she'd be moving that week. Tuesday, she told me that she'd be, her family was coming to pick her up on Wednesday. And Wednesday, she moved out with the girls. It was a struggle. At first, you know, my oldest daughter wanted to stay with me. Then she wanted to go. You know, she didn't want to be without her sister and her mom, which is completely understandable. You know, she has friends here and everything. But ultimately, she decided to go the day of, as they were leaving. She decided she wanted to go. And, you know, I'm going to let her do what she wants to do what's best for everybody. So yeah, and, you know, 13 years, my wife was only the second person I'd ever dated. So she was my world. She was my everything. And, you know, once she left, it would be a lie to say that I didn't hurt. I hurt. A lot of tears, a lot of emotions, a lot of questions. And I remember when they left, just kind of breaking down and crying and just wondering what in the world was going on, as I felt like everything around me was just shattered and falling apart. You know, life as I knew it was completely changed. It wasn't what I really wanted. I mean, if we're honest, you know, it wasn't the way I wanted things to go, but I think it's the way things needed to go, and we agreed. And so that, you know, for days and weeks after that, I struggled. You know, fortunately, my coworkers, very supportive individuals, very loving people, and I'm very thankful for where I work, that it extends beyond just a job, that the people, my coworkers, actually do care about me. And I was very honest and upfront with the close ones as to what was going on, and they were very supportive. And I think the big thing that I learned in this time was how many friends I really had. You know, I've got a couple friends that I've known for several years, and they work with me, and all of them just wrapped their arms around me and loved me and supported me and offered me to come stay with them if I needed a place to stay, because, you know, I'm here alone in my house and it's empty. I've got the dog still, so that's, you know, a plus. She's a great dog. But yeah, just the overwhelming support of people and the love and the wisdom that came with that. You know, I've got friends that are going through similar situations. They were in long-term relationships, and those relationships have ended. And so how have they dealt with it? You know, everybody deals with things differently, but I think there's so much wisdom and collective, in a collective group where you learn from other people's experiences. You know, in the moment, we don't know how to deal with it all the time. We don't make the best choices, or we don't react the right way, but having those friends that can say, hey, this is what I went through and this is how I dealt with it, can really help you in dealing with your own issues. So you guys know who you are. Big shout out to all of those people that have loved on me and supported me. You know, so with the separation, as I said in my blog, comes a lot of introspection and a lot of reflection. Now, introspection and reflection is great. It can be an amazing thing, but can also be a very dangerous thing, because if you're not careful, you will start to think too much, and you will get in this process, which I started to do. You get in this mindset of, what did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? Listen, the reality of it is, sure, were there things that I did wrong? Absolutely. Could I have been a better husband? Absolutely. We could always be better. We could always do things differently. But the reality is, it just didn't work out. And, you know, it's for a long time I was wrestling. Do I say that my marriage failed? No, my marriage didn't fail. And, you know, talking to my ex-wife, she even encouraged me in that, like, hey, this is not a failure. You know, it just didn't work out. People change, people grow apart, so we're going our different ways. And it's the end of a chapter. That was a chapter. That was 13 years of my life. That chapter is closed and a new chapter has begun. So with this podcast, that's where I'm like, you know what? This is a new chapter, new me. I'm discovering things about myself that I never knew. But we'll get into that in a second. So let's get back to dwelling on things. So could I have done things differently? Yes. But, you know, there's another thing to understand too. You're not always going to get certain answers. You know, there's questions that will not get answered in situations like this and just in life. And we need to learn to accept that. So for me, I had to learn not to dwell on the past, not to dwell on what I did wrong or what I should have done differently, because I started to get into that habit of doing that, and it kept me from moving forward. It kept me from making progress. So because fortunately my friends encouraged me and they helped me through that, I started to shift my focus around and not think of what I could have done, but think of what is, and look at this. This is where we're getting the new chapter. Look at this new chapter. You know, instantly I found myself becoming a different person, a better person, I guess you could say, a better version of myself, because I was focused on me. And there's nothing wrong with focusing on you. You've got to focus on yourself sometimes. Even if you're in a relationship, you need to take time to focus on yourself as well as each other, because you need to be emotionally healthy. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, how can you take care of somebody else? So I shifted that focus to myself and I started healing. And I'm not going to lie, it's been several months, but it still hurts some days. There's some days where I don't want to get out of bed, but I do. I push myself to get up. I push myself to move on. There's some days where I just see something that reminds me of my kids, a note that they left me, or, you know, one of their toys around the house, and it just hits me so hard and I get sad. And that's completely fine. But I'm finding that, like, more and more, it doesn't last as long. It hurts less. The pain's still there, but they're not gone. You know, through the holidays have been tough. Thanksgiving was weird. I had some friends together. I don't like calling it Friendsgiving. But we had Thanksgiving together with some friends. The girls, my daughters, ended up being here for it, so I got to spend time with them. Christmas was difficult because Christmas, first time in my life, I haven't had family at Christmas time. I haven't had my family. I haven't had the kids. And so that was really weird. Christmas didn't feel like Christmas. Ended up going to see Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker for the third time, and then went to a Chinese buffet. And there were moments where I was sad, but at the same time, I know my girls are going to be coming to visit soon, and I'll have Christmas with them when they come. So that's all to say, this is where I am. This is what's happened. And so with all of that hurt, all of that pain, you know, I started journaling again. It was something I did very early on in my life, and I did it throughout my life, and it helped me. And I enjoy journaling, and I enjoy talking. I enjoy talking through my thoughts and feelings. So sometimes these episodes might be like this. They're just musings of whatever is in my mind. So a verbal journal, if you will. But I journaled a lot when I first got in a relationship with my wife, and when we started dating. And as we're packing her stuff up, she's getting ready to leave, I found my old journals. She found hers. And just reading back through my old journals, there were so many things that if I had continued to journal and had gone back through time and looked at things, I would have realized, oh my gosh, we were doomed from the beginning. Not that it was wrong. It just, I told her this after we separated. I think that there's a reality that exists in which her and I would be together forever. I think if we had done certain things differently, if we had gotten the counseling we needed, if we had worked on the issues from both of our pasts, we would still be together. But that's not the way things went, and it's not the way things worked out. So this is the reality that is. You know, so looking back through my journals, I think if I had leaned back on them more, could things have been different? Sure. But I'm not going to dwell on the could have, the should have, or the would have beens, because that's not healthy. So I'm moving forward. beginning to journal again. And once she left, I journaled every day after she left. And going back and reading that, I'm seeing my growth. I'm seeing how much better I am than when I was then. So I'm seeing that I'm healing and that I'm moving on. And then, as I said, with that, there's always been this passion. Like, I love podcasting. I love talking to a microphone. I love talking to people, getting to know them, their stories, and even getting to know me, figuring out my story. So that's what this podcast is. This podcast is going to be these great interviews with people, a lot of people in my life that do some amazing things. You know, I've got some great friends that are artists and musicians that make films and music, that draw, and that I find every single one of these people that I encounter have a desire for their art to change the world, to make it a better place. And so that's encouraging to me. And I want to talk with those people, you know, whether you're into art or fitness or any kind of self-help, you know, this is a podcast for you. This is a podcast for everybody. This is a podcast for anyone who has feelings. And pretty sure we all have feelings. So with that being said, you know, we're not going to make this episode long. I'm not going to ramble forever. So one of my favorite movies is Serendipity with John Cusack. And in this movie, he, spoiler, if you haven't seen it yet, it's been, you know, years, whatever. He is supposed to marry this woman, but he meets Kate Beckinsale, and he falls in love with her, because who doesn't fall in love with Kate Beckinsale? Towards the end of the movie, he calls off his wedding and doesn't get married because his heart is still set on finding this woman that he met at this chance encounter years ago. And so he calls off the wedding. Well, his friend in the movie, Jeremy Piven's character, is a writer for the newspaper, and he writes obituaries. And after all this goes down, Jeremy Piven had written the obituary for his friend. And I always thought this was interesting. So I was sitting at lunch the other day talking to one of my friends who's going through a similar situation, separating from a relationship of 13 years, oddly enough. And she got a fortune cookie. And in this fortune cookie, it said, "Write your eulogy." First off, it's like, whoa, that's morbid. What? Oh, write your eulogy. So I sat there for a minute and I thought about it. I was like, you know what? End of the year, 2019's ending, 2020's beginning. You know, you hear this all the time, new year, new you type thing, and it's a lot of empty promises and things like that. But I think for us, for those of us that are going through separations and relationships, especially at the end of this year, or if you're going through a major life change, it really is a new year, new you. For me, you know, I'm no longer in this relationship, and it's me focusing on me and being the best father I can for my daughters. But it's about me now. And so it's a new chapter in life, a new era. And so it's time to put the old person to rest. You know, so I wrote my eulogy. My eulogy for the old Torn, the one that was married, the one that had lived up to this point. And the beauty of a eulogy is it's not depressing. A eulogy is a celebration of a person's life and their accomplishments, their memories. So I thought it was fitting, kind of morbid, but fitting to write my eulogy for the old me. So here we go. We're here today to celebrate the life of Torn Hurley and to say goodbye to a wonderful man. For those of you that don't know me, I knew Torn better than anyone else. Torn was born April 13th, 1983 in El Salvador. He was adopted at a year and a half old and came to America. He grew up in West Palm Beach, Florida, and lived a wonderful childhood. He spent many great days with his grandparents and mother and lived a full childhood, making many great memories and feeling loved. Torn was happily married to Jessica for 13 years. They met playing World of Warcraft and dated long distance for a year. Jessica moved to Florida, and they were married on Palm Beach Island. He was the father to her wonderful daughter, Danny, and loved her as his own. In 2011, they had a daughter together, Bella. Torn loved everyone. He loved making new friends and getting to know people. He had a way to speak to the core of a person and really get to know them beyond the surface level. He made many friends and fit in wherever he was. He worked in the video field since high school. He had always been talented and loved to create. He loved art and movies from a young age. When he got the opportunity to start making videos, he fell in love and a passion was born. He went on to work with amazing people and built long-lasting relationships. Anyone who knew Torn would say how caring he was. He got along with everyone. He would make time for people and often put their needs above his. He had a heart for the hurting and wanted everyone to see their value and feel loved. Torrin taught me that it was okay to fail, that life won't always go your way, and that's okay. To never be afraid of who you are and to always press on. Learn from your experiences and love everyone. It was always his hope and mission for people to be better because they knew him. We will all miss Torrin, but it's time for him to go. This is not goodbye, and this is just the end of one chapter and the beginning of the next. Continue to press on and move forward, and remember, people matter. So there you go. That's my eulogy for myself. It was really weird to write, but it was kind of a groundbreaking thing, a breakthrough for me, in that it helped me to kind of get some thoughts out. And, maybe that's what you should do this year. Maybe you should write your eulogy. If you're starting a new chapter in life, new decade, new year, new chapter, write your eulogy. Remember yourself. Remember the good. Remember the positive. Think of what you've done that you're proud of. Don't celebrate the negative. Don't dwell on the negative. Let's dwell on the positive and think forward. I would be a mess if I continued to think about what happened and all the questions in my head. And again, some days are rough, but I'm finding that I'm having more good days than bad days now. When those moments of sadness hit, they're gone quicker. It turns to happiness. It turns to positivity. So I encourage you, write your eulogy and please share it with me. Send it, DM me on Facebook, Instagram. Send it to me, insightsintoasoul@gmail.com. I would love to hear your eulogy and to share it. Because, we need to remember ourselves. We need to remember the good and cling to that and the positive and to move forward in a new chapter in a new life. And that's one thing I want to do with every podcast is I want to end it on that positive note. We can dwell and talk about the hurt, but we need to move on from it. We need to move on to positive things and better things. So every podcast I want to end with that positive thought, that positive spin. So today's positive spin is that write your eulogy. Remember yourself. Remember the good. Remember the great. Look at what you've accomplished and how other people view you. Because I think if you stop and think about it, you're loved. People care about you. People want to see you win. People want to cheer for you, and they are cheering for you. I'm cheering for you. If you're my friend, if I know you, you know that I love to get to know people and support them in whatever they do. So I want to see you win. I want 2020, the next decade, to be your decade, for you to do great things. Whether that's getting out of bed every single day and pressing on, or whether it's making a podcast or starting a new Instagram, whatever it is, write that song you've been wanting to write, paint that picture you've been wanting to paint, create that film that you've been wanting to create, write that story, write that book, start that blog, but do something. And don't do it for recognition. Do it for yourself. Do it because you've got a voice inside of you that is crying to get out. Do it to get that voice out and to share that voice with whoever will listen. Because I guarantee you, if you share your voice, people will listen. So let that inner light shine. Thanks for joining me on the first episode of Insights into a Soul. As I said, got some great episodes coming up. Got some friends going to join us. Different arenas, different worlds. Going to talk about a lot of stuff. We got some people. We're going to talk about some relationships. We're going to get heavy. It's going to get heavy, but it's going to be good because we're all in this journey called life together. We all have a story, and I want to tell those stories. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for liking. You can find me on Instagram at TorrinH. Insights into a Soul is on there. You can find me on Facebook, Insights into a Soul. We're going to be getting all that stuff up. So in the description should be some links. This podcast will be available on iTunes. Yeah, well, we got iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple, Google Play, whatever it's called. But all your favorite podcasting platforms, it will be available on. I'm just going through the approval process because we just started. Yeah, so that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you would like to be on the show, shoot me a DM on social media or drop me an email, insightsintoasoul@gmail.com. Thanks for all the love and support. Looking forward to what this does. If nothing else, I know it's going to do a lot for me. It already has. But I look forward to going on this journey together with all of you that are listening. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Insights into a Soul. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to like and subscribe and to share it with your friends. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Insights into a Soul, on Instagram @TornH, and if you have suggestions for future episodes or topics, or if you'd like to be on the podcast, contact us, insightsintoasoul@gmail.com.